Welcome back to the My Latin Life podcast. Since 2014, My Latin Life has been your trusted guide to traveling and living in Latin America. Our guest today is Kristin Karstendottir. She's the founder of LivTours. They're one of the biggest tour companies in Europe. And we bring her onto the podcast to talk about tours in Southern Europe, starting a tour company, sustainable travel. Kristin, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thank you so much. So nice to be here.
I always get Kristin and Kristin confused, but it's Kristin.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm still waking up. I'm drinking my coffee, but we're late start here in Europe. That's the benefit. Is you're in Europe, right? You're in Rome. You're in Italy.
Yes, I am. Yes.
Is when you work East Coast hours, U.S. hours, you don't really have, you don't really start working until like 2 p.m. So I sleep in. I have no alarm clock. It's like 11 a.m. So shame on me, but I'm drinking my coffee. I'm waking up.
Good. Maybe you need an espresso.
Yeah, I do like, yeah. I mean, we use the mocha pot today. So I'm getting into it. So I guess tell me a little bit more about how you got things going. I'm always interested in the entrepreneurial journey as well. So you're originally from Sweden?
Yes, I am. I moved here actually in 2012 to Rome. And at that point, I met my husband, who's now my husband, but back then he was just a random Roman looking for a roommate. And I was the one who stepped. Yes, okay. Classic.
Okay.
And he had actually already started a company because he was a tour guide. And he saw the need of having a higher quality service with only really small group tours. But back then, it was basically just a hobby for him because he was tour guiding 6 days a week for another company. Mm-hmm. So he didn't have the time to actually sit down, answering emails, do marketing, or anything like that. So when we met, and I come from a background of business and logistics in Sweden, mm-hmm. He was like, hey, I never have time to do this. I'm always out tour guiding. Would you like to tag along and kind of create this business together? And I said, of course, I would love to. So that's the story.
It reminds me of what's that movie? It's the French movie. Like it's like all the roommates. It's like Le Département Espagnol or something like that. Have you seen that? It's like Erasmus students, and they get together and they're roommates, and they're all from different countries in Europe, and so they learn about there's the Dutch guy and the French guy, and and they learn the cultural differences. Okay, moving on.
Yeah.
No, that's cool. So I imagine you started with tours in Italy, right?
Correct.
And you guys have been doing this a long time. So at this point, I read on the site you offer 350 distinct tours?
Yes. It's a lot. We're in 28 different destinations at this point. But like you said, we started from Italy. So back then it was actually called LivItaly Tours. Mm-hmm. And then the more we expanded, we kind of had to rebrand ourselves to LivTours.
How do you run 350 distinct tours? Like how do you even, because you must have all these different tour operators and local partners and stuff like that. You'd have to just be like, hey, you guys still like alive? Like, do you still able to do the tours if we get signups? Like, how do you keep everyone in line?
Actually, that would have been probably easier. The thing is that we provide our own tours. So we don't have any local operators that we send the business to. We actually have our own guides, our own managers in each destination. We source the own suppliers. Angelo and I go around and test all these 300 tours as well. So yes, it is quite hectic, but we love it.
I'm so fascinated about this. Okay, and then I got one juicy question, which is, what is the most popular tour out of the 350 tours?
The Colosseum. I don't know if that's a shocker.
Really? Really? Yes. You think people would just be like, okay, I can just go to the Colosseum, pay the entry fee, and easy.
Yeah.
But they want the tour.
No, it's actually the best selling tour is the Colosseum.
Wow.
Mm.
And what do you guys do different about your Colosseum tour?
As mentioned, we do really small group tours. So we have max 6 participants in each group tour, which is completely unique in the industry. Otherwise, you always see a guide with a flag and headsets and then people following them. But that's not how we operate at all. We have this really intimate setting where you basically become friends. Like, 3 couples that enjoy a nice tour, and you can talk and ask questions however they want.
So give me an idea with the Colosseum tour, like how long duration would the tour be? And does it include just like meeting outside the Colosseum and doing the Colosseum tour? Or do you like bring them to lunch or add some additional flair or aspects to it? Or
And no, we do, because we do a special entrances. So we have, for example, the arena floor, which is not the original arena floor, of course. It's something they built up afterwards. But we enter, it's a 3-hour tour normally, because we don't only do the Colosseum, we also go to the Palatine Hill and the Roman Forum. And like you said, some people might think it's easy to just book a ticket and go there. But if you ever been to the Roman Forum, there's a lot of ruins. There's a lot of old temples that...
Right. It's like a big field behind the Colosseum.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a guide who explains what it actually used to look like, you don't get much out of it. So it's
guide. True. Really I did it without a guide, like kind of during the pandemic, just like walking around myself. And it was like, it was all right, but... Yeah, I definitely would have got a lot more out of it with the tour guide for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
Okay.
But then we do a lot of experiences as well. So we have our own boat actually down in southern Italy. So we have, with our captain, we do Ferrari test drives as well.
Wow.
Cooking classes in someone's home. So it's not just tours. Like, we really want someone to experience the location they're visiting.
Experiences. And do you also like post it on Airbnb experiences or other platforms, or they have to go to your website?
We do work with some what's called OTAs, so online tour agencies,
like TripAdvisor,
or Viator, or Get Your Guide. Okay. Probably heard about them. But we have a lot of clients that come directly to our website. Or we collaborate with travel agents, so local travel agents in America or Canada or UK or wherever. Cool.
And then I'm just curious about the top 5. So Colosseum's number 1. What's like 2, 3, 4, 5 out of the 350?
The Vatican is also a big hit because it's very well visited. In Rome, we also do golf cart tours, which people love. Because you get to see the whole city basically in 3 hours, and you get really close to the sites. The tour guide stops, talk about it. It's perfect if you have kids, or if someone has a hard time walking, or for anyone in the summer, because when it's really hot, it's so nice to just sit on that golf cart and zip around.
Sure. And I can have a drink with me?
Yes. We even do it in the evening. As a drink tour, where you get drinks and you get craft beer and everything like that. So there's a lot of different variety to it.
Okay, I'm into that.
Yeah. Also our Versailles tour, where we do the Versailles tour with the king's apartment. So it's a very unique tour where only us go inside these special rooms. That's a big seller as well. And then the Louvre is a big seller. Like I mentioned, the boat is very popular as well.
Cool. Where does the boat leave from?
It's kind of up to the client, but usually it's Sorrento.
So
southern Italy.
Yeah. And then we Naples. Cool.
Yeah. But it's fun to see that Ischia and Procida, which is a little bit less known islands, those people are discovering more and more, and they're absolutely beautiful. So it's not just Capri and Amalfi. People are starting to understand that there's a lot more to see in southern Italy.
Yeah. That's a good region. Okay, cool. And then I guess let's talk a bit about sustainable travel, because that's kind of something that you're passionate about, right? That's one of the angles that you bring to tourism. So what is sustainable travel?
Well, there's a lot of aspects in sustainable travel. Naturally, having a group of 6 people, when you visit a site, you don't go there to just exploit it and kind of take up space and not appreciate it. You enter it and you kind of tiptoe around, and being with a tour guide who's a local tour guide, they really talk about the culture and the sites you're visiting.
Mm-hmm.
Also, like you mentioned, we have 300 tours. I'm sorry. But in each destination, we have a huge spread of tours. So that is also contributing to a slow tourism, where people just don't hop between, the different cities and do one day in Rome and then fly to London and do one day there. We really encourage people to stay longer in each destination and to really explore it. But then we also have an eternal sustainability committee, which I'm part of. And I just had a meeting, actually. I was just finishing up with them, where we talk about all aspects of the companies, from the products, how we can change a product from not including a car, but to do it with a train instead, or how we work internally, how we get to the office. So it's really a 360-degree view of the company and everything we offer.
Mm-hmm. And having this small group size is a big part of that too, right?
Yes, for sure.
And I imagine that's what gets you into some of these places that other tour operators can't, right? Because you're not bringing a whole Flixbus.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it makes all the difference. And clients really appreciate being in a small group.
This episode of the My Latin Life podcast is brought to you in part by Job Stacking. If you're a remote or hybrid worker looking to maximize your earning potential, then Rolf Holze, author of Job Stacking, guarantees you'll be able to double your income by implementing his paycheck multiplication layering method. This is the exact system Rolf has used to take his own income and those of many others beyond $20K a month. With this method, Rolf contractually guarantees that you'll be able to double your income in 45 days. So, if you're interested in unleashing your earning potential and doubling your income, then click the link in the description and book a call with Rolf right now.
Yeah, tell me more about the sustainable travel piece of it, because I think this is a growing trend, right? Where people want to be sustainable. They want to, they realize that these big, like 40-person tours aren't good for the places. They don't have a good experience, and also can even be damaging to the site. So no one really benefits. It's just like cheaper, I guess, and that's why people do it. But it's annoying. It's not fun. I feel like the small group's the only way to go.
Yes. And it's also about how you look at a city. I mean, you're visiting a city and you're only there for a certain point, but the cities are built for the locals. But unfortunately, sometimes tourism takes over.
Right.
I mean, we've seen this in Venice, for example, where they have a huge amount. I mean, the city is not built for this kind of incoming tourists that are just spending the day and then leaving. They're not even contributing to the economics, because it's, they come and they leave. There, for example, they've been trying to add a day fee. I don't know if have you heard about that?
I have heard about this, and I've seen the photos of the cruise ships, beside the sort of juxtaposed beside the buildings, and it's just it's way out of whack.
Yeah, those are actually banned now, luckily. So they cannot dock anymore in Venice. Now they dock a little bit south of the city. But yeah, these day fees that I was talking about, it's not so much about getting money to the city, because it's actually just €5 a day. they say it's more about giving an indication to people to not come on those days because the city is already so full. So a lot of cities, which is really important also for sustainability, are working more and more to try to get travelers to travel through the whole year and not just, in June and July and August, but to also come during the shoulder seasons, as we call it.
Yeah, shoulder season's the play, where you still have pretty good weather, but way less crowds. And that's the benefit for the people at home of being a digital nomad and being location independent, is you don't have to wait for summer vacation.
Definitely.
You get to sort of get those ideal times of year. It's kind of the analogy of like going to the gym in the middle of the day when there's nobody there. Except applied to tourist destinations.
No, it makes a huge difference, and that's a big advantage that the nomads have.
And what is your kind of split between the people that do the tours? Is it just like, what's the split between like retirees, families, and young people?
We have a lot of family tours and a lot of families that are interested in our product, because we actually developed a whole category where we have almost like a scavenger hunt. So we have pamphlets we're giving to kids, and then they go through the tours answering riddles and questions. So I would say it's basically 30% is families. Then we also have, during the fall and during the spring, we have a lot of baby boomers coming over. So it's also around 30% of the business. And they are really good at the shoulder seasons, I must say, which is amazing.
Because the families, it's like when they have time off schools. It's the families that are kind of have fixed schedules. Okay.
For sure.
That makes sense.
And then the rest is basically couples or, older kids, and the parents are traveling on their own, or honeymooners, or people that, sometimes if it's in Europe, they even take a weekend off, and just like yourself, probably do every now and then and go to a destination.
Right. Just because the cheap Ryanair flights and stuff.
Yeah. And it's nice to see also. Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I wanted to say it's also nice to see now, if we're on the track of sustainability, that there's so many more night trains coming in Europe. So like that, you can get on board. You have your bed. You have even your own bathroom in some trains, and then you wake up in a new place. Yeah.
Wow.
There's a lot of these night trains coming. So you get on board at 8 p.m. and then you wake up at 8 a.m. in a new city.
That's a new thing that the EU is starting to do?
Yeah, there's several companies around Europe that are launching these and have launched them already.
Wow.
Which is really great.
What's an example of the routes? Like, where would it go?
We have, for example, Rome to Salzburg, or Rome to Vienna. There's not a night train, but you have almost a direct train between Milan and Paris. Which is super quick. There's also to Switzerland. And then, like I said, I'm Swedish, so I know from Sweden they have night trains down to Hamburg or Berlin, for example. I believe also Berlin and Paris. So there's many of these.
That's cool. I'm still getting used to it. What's annoying is that Portugal isn't really connected by train to the rest of Europe. So it works better when you're in that sort of like Germany, Italy corridor, I think.
Yeah.
Speaking of, do you guys have Portugal tours? I couldn't really find any on the website.
No, we don't yet. But I'm sure it will be coming. Yeah.
Why not? Why no Portugal? I mean, it's so popular among Americans, especially.
No, it is definitely in the pipeline, and I love Lisbon. It's such a beautiful city. So it will be coming. But, like I said, we are doing everything on our own with our own tour guides and suppliers and everything. So it takes a while to actually develop a new destination. We don't want to rush it either.
Yeah. What goes into that? Like, tell me about the process of like developing a new destination. Like, if you wanted to bring, I guess, a new city or a new country on, what goes into that?
First of all, there's a lot of research about the destination. And then we usually go there once, Angelo and I, or one of us, and try a bunch of tours, get a feeling from the city, from a more of a professional side, because most of the cities we have already visited privately. And then, you have to find the tour guides. You have to find someone who's a local that knows the industry and knows the tour guides, which then will help us develop the city and the tours. So we don't just go there and say we want to do this and this and this. No, we actually listen to the locals and hear what they're suggesting as well.
This episode of the My Latin Life podcast is brought to you in part by Crema Social. Crema Social is like TikTok for international dating. It's an app you can download right now on your phone, and 3 out of 4 people on Crema are single women. The app was founded in Colombia, so unsurprisingly, there are a lot of Latinas on the app, by the way. So how does it work? Crema Social is a social meal experience where you invite a hot girl for a lunch date via video call and food delivery. New concept, so you'll have to try it out for yourself, but this is probably the best way to meet Latinas before you visit the country. So if you're in Latin America or planning to visit Latin America, download Crema Social now and start getting dates right away. There will be a link in the description to download, or just search Crema Social on your favorite app store. Have fun, guys.
Makes sense. And do you try to bring on like one tour at a time? If you were to bring on a new country, let's just say Croatia, would you bring on one tour, just one tour to like see how it goes, or would you try to launch like a couple different tours in a country at the same time?
A couple of different, yeah. So usually around 8, I would say.
Wow.
6 to 8 tours.
Wow.
Yes.
All from the same city or country?
Yes. And usually what we do is that we start with private tours, and then we launch the semi-private, so the small group tours.
Mm-hmm. What would a private tour be, like literally one-on-one?
Yeah. So you have your own tour guide.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is something we do as well, like a lot. It's almost 50-50 semi-private or the small group tours and privates. So we're really big on privates. Yeah.
Almost 50% of your bookings are one-on-one private tours?
Oh, yeah.
That's
Definitely.
crazy.
Yeah. No, a lot of people want to have their own tour guide, or they want to, customize the tour a little bit. So yes, the private tours are very popular.
It makes sense. I always thought about this as like a business idea where it'd be like, just like rent a local where you could just it's like, I just want like some local guy to like show me like the best restaurant in town and like, like just bring me around, give me like the insider scoop from their experience, their perspective, how they experience the city. So it's kind of like that in a way. Yeah,
no, for sure. Like that, exactly. It's like walking around with your friend and getting all the best tips and tricks.
I am curious a bit more about the human aspect of running a tour guide business, because any human business, any hospitality business, it can be messy, right? Like you get bad reviews, or the bus breaks down, or there's all these, the tour guide operator is sick, and then you got to find like a backup or something. There's all these like human things that can happen, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Yeah. There's anything can happen, I would say, in tourism, which is also a lot of fun with it. But yeah, every season brings on more experience. But luckily we have a really good team that are super fit, and they know how to handle all these kind of things that you never think will happen, but they do. But yeah, it's.
But you hear about the big ones. So every single, like if you're running 350 tours every day, it's like, oh, in Italy, someone broke their leg. In Spain, someone fell off the bus or whatever, right?
No, it's not that eventful, luckily. No, not that many things happens. And again, I can, that's just thanks to the team who's really proactive. But of course, someone can break a leg, but it almost never happens.
Okay.
We're more careful than that.
Well, that's good. But I mean, it is a very human business, right? And I guess you have to have backups and plan Bs in case plans change, or let's just say the site is closed for the day because of a storm or whatever.
Yes.
So how do you, what have you kind of learned over the years? What have been some epiphanies or some learnings about how to run these tours and have backup plans?
No, that's for sure. Or a tour guide could be sick and not be able to show up. These things happen. Those things are impossible to prevent. But I must say that clients are really understanding as long as you're honest and transparent about what has happened and you try to find a solution as soon as possible. So yeah, if the Louvre is closed because there's a strike they never announced, and this happens, then, you have to find another day and try to figure it out. Or you offer another great museum in Paris, and,
But then that's the issue, is like people are on vacation and they only have like certain days, and then you basically have to refund them and you sort of like lose the revenue potentially.
Yes. But that's part of the game. Yeah, exactly. You cannot prevent yourself from anything. So you just have to do the best.
Who are the best and the worst clients? Are like the Germans the worst because they're like, you said we were leaving at 8 a.m. It's 8:05. We haven't left yet.
No, we have a lot of Americans, and traveling to Europe is in many cases just a once in a lifetime. So I really feel for them if something did not go as planned, because they might not be able to come back again. But I wouldn't say that we have one nationalities that is harder or or easier. Canadians are, of course, very nice. I must say that.
Yeah. I think with the North Americans, they can be a mixed bag. Like they can be very chill, but sometimes they could be a pain and want to speak to the manager. So you never know. But I feel like the Northern Europeans would be the most strict about, because I feel like what happens is people get very like sort of critical about like how a tour could be better or that kind of thing. And people sometimes they don't get into the experience enough, I find. But
yes and no. I mean, I must say that the amount of feedback we get is really, really great. Like if you go to our TripAdvisor page, you will see that there's basically only 5 stars. So I'm
sure.
We're getting a lot of positive feedback. But then, someone comes to the tour, maybe they had a fight before with the wife or the husband, and, they show up in a bad mood. This can happen. And then it takes, it's kind of an uphill for the tour guide to then turn them around and,
right.
Let's see this and let's enjoy it.
What do you do to encourage the reviews? Because I imagine only a small percentage of people who do the tours leave a reviews. Do you have an idea, like what percentage of people actually leave a review?
It's quite high. I think it's about 15%.
15%?
20%, yeah.
So 10, 20%. And what do you do to like encourage people to leave reviews? Do you have your tour guides actively say like, open your app and leave a review or?
They do definitely ask for a review at the end of the tour and say that they would appreciate that. They have on their cell phone, they have a QR code, which brings the client to the guide's digital business card where they can leave a review. And then we're not bombarding the clients with emails to ask for a review and a review and a review. But we do ask for the feedback at the end of the tour. And most people are actually inclined to write a review, which is great.
Cool. And again, where do you find people for the tours primarily? Like, do you have like what are the primary traffic sources, or where do people book in from the most?
Do you mean in what kind of channels? How they find us?
Yeah. Because you guys are on
Uh,
the high, like they're high end tours, like, you know, where
yes,
a day tour might be 500 euros. So you are going for sort of a more high end clientele.
yes. Um, so we have a lot of travel agents that are recommending our tours. We have a lot of this has been a lot of word of mouth because we have been around for a long time. So people that might traveled with us in Rome, you know, now their neighbors are going to Paris and they tell the neighbor to look us up because they love the tours they had with us in Rome.
Mhm.
And of course, Google is huge. It's funny enough that we get mentioned a lot on ChatGTP.
Really?
Yeah, a lot
Okay.
of clients this year have said, you know, I asked ChatGPT to book to recommend these tours, and you were the ones that came up.
You know, I
So
started doing this with ChatGPT to
yeah,
come up with like trip ideas. Just the other day, I was saying like, make me a list of all the top events in Europe this year, and put it in alphabetical, or not alphabetical, chronological order. So I
yes,
know all the top events in April, May, June, July, and
oh
it's like,
cool,
okay, and go to Spain for the Feria de Sevilla, and then, you know, in October go to Oktoberfest in Munich, and it's like, if the people at home haven't tried this, it's actually
mm,
so good for
yeah,
getting trip ideas and logistics, and how do I get from the airport to the thing, and it's
hmm.
really good for that.
No, it's amazing. I actually did the same a few weeks ago because we're traveling to the national parks in America next year. No, sorry,
Hmm.
this year in the fall. And
Hmm.
again, you know, you go through blogs, you go through websites and news or whatever, and then I was like, no, I cannot do this. So I asked ChatGPT to book to arrange a 10-day trip, and I just got, you know, the camping sites and everything, which is
Wow.
amazing.
With the
Yeah,
Kev. Yeah, because the blogs, there's just so much fluff and filler, right? Where like they're like, yeah, the national parks are amazing, like blah blah blah. And it's like, just give me the like
yeah.
the actual campground, and like what I really need to know here.
Yeah,
Uh,
even though
it's
that the information we get on ChatGPT is probably coming from all these blogs. So I also
yeah,
feel for the bloggers who put in a lot of effort and a lot of work to then maybe not get the credit for it.
yeah, that'll have
But that's a
to
different
work
story.
itself out somehow, but
Yeah,
it works. It works really really well, this ChatGPT thing.
yeah,
So I mean, maybe you just got, if you write the blog articles, then you get mentioned more as like a tour guide operator, right?
yeah, probably.
And so I imagine you're running like your most popular tours every single day, right? Or 5 days
Yes,
a week.
yes, several times a day, several times at the same starting time, even.
Wow. That's incredible. So do you know where you stand in maybe like the list of top European tour operators?
No, I do not.
Top
Quality, I would
three.
say number one,
Quality
but
number one for sure.
but but of course doing small group tours of 6 people, uh,
Uh-huh.
I mean we can never be the best selling tour operator because you compete with groups of 30 and a completely different price tag, so it would be hard.
No, it's cool. Well, I'm sure you got to be humble here, but no, because I'm like genuinely interested in this, because people have like actually even approached me and said like, why don't we do like a tour business in Latin America or in South America or in Brazil or Mexico, where
Mm,
they don't have this same level of tourist infrastructure in a lot of these places. So it's more
mm,
undiscovered in that sense. And I'm like, and I'm down, but at the same time, I'm like, it's such a human business, and
yes,
it's chaotic, right? And you really have to have good partners and people on the ground.
yes, that's for sure. Because yeah, like you said, a lot of things happen, and not just the human aspect, but also, you know, ticket venues change ticket rules in the middle of the season, and then you have to rethink everything. So it's a
Hmm.
very dynamic business.
I mean, it must be fun for you because then you must get wined and dined everywhere you go. You get free yacht parties and free private tours and winery tours everywhere you go, right?
Yeah, no, not really. No, no. I mean, yeah, no, we're not in the industry for that. But of course, a lot of people appreciate us, and you can feel that when we go around. For example, next week we're traveling to Barcelona, Paris, and London to visit all our tour guides there and try some tours.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really nice to go out there and meet suppliers and, yeah, even, wine places, and they really appreciate of the business they get because some of them are really small, so they don't get that, the publicity, and then they get our clients and the clients love it.
Right. I could see for some of these small business, whether it's like a winery or a restaurant or something, where you could almost change their business overnight, right? Mm-hmm. If you're bringing them clients every single day.
Yes. Probably not us, but again, these big tour companies with huge tour groups, I know they have done it. And I also know about not so great experiences where they have changed the whole industry for this company that brings them, 100 people every day. And then one day they don't come anymore because they're like, no, we found someone else. And then they're, they rebuilt their business model for one tour operator.
At some point it's like, well, I'm getting so many people for this wine tour in Tuscany or whatever. It's like, I might as well just buy the winery or buy a hotel or something, right? Vertically integrate.
Maybe one day. Yes.
Retirement plan. No, I think it's a really cool business because I think it is actually a defensible industry in the wave of AI and kind of what's happening, where people are always going to seek these in-person human experiences, right? And that's what you're delivering. Yes. So as the world gets more and more digital, I mean, this is never going to go digital. People are always going to want to go in the gondola in Venice and visit the Colosseum and stuff like that. So it's a very defensible business in that sense.
Mm-hmm. No, I completely agree with you. I mean, AI is great in many aspects, but I think we will always appreciate that human touch and to actually have that connection with someone when you visit a place.
Totally. And especially in Europe, where it seems like Europe is more and more just like a tourism place where there's not really a lot of like industry going on, but tourism is just huge. Like anywhere in Europe is almost like an open air museum. Yes. And so I think it works with the trend of Europe as well. I mean, you could argue it'd be better if they had more industry and exports and so forth. But that's what Europe is now. It's like sort of like the world's like tourism destination. And and I guess as long as you can do it in a sustainable way, then it's great.
Yes. It's the fastest growing industry as well.
Is it?
Yes. It's really, really growing fast.
So tourism is the fastest growing industry in Europe?
Tourism is the third largest industry, but the activity industry, so tours, is the fastest growing within tourism.
So if I wanted to start a tour business in South America, in Brazil or Argentina or something, what advice would you have for me to start my business?
To be there, experience it, live there, and find the passion you want to share with the people that come there. I think that's the most important. You have to have the passion for the places that you operate in. Otherwise, it's not. You cannot just sell it. Like, you have to really love it. Yeah,
totally. Yeah. Well, I'm obviously very passionate about Latin America. I have a whole podcast and website and everything about it. So I kind of want to start a tour company.
Find the right people, or go there and do the tours yourself maybe for a while, and start it up like that. And then find the people that share this passion and
Yeah. We recently
are
had a
great
guy on.
storytellers.
They're called Where Sidewalks End,
Hmm.
and they're a tour operator. They started in Thailand and Southeast Asia, and then
Okay.
the founder moved to Mexico, and his like spouse is Mexican, and they started running these tours in Mexico, and they have a chocolate tour and a tequila
Oh,
tour and visiting like local indigenous communities where they do like sewing of carpets and clothes and stuff like that. So they do like really authentic tours and stuff like that.
wow.
And it's so cool. And it really has the opportunity, like say in Mexico, to really like change these like local, more indigenous communities and stuff like that.
Mm,
So that one was really cool.
beautiful.
And
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of potential in Latin America,
Hmm.
but really everywhere to do this, because these are experiences that they're very you can't do it yourself like someone off the street. You really
No.
need someone like yourselves, Kristin, to create the infrastructure of the tour and to
Yes.
handle the logistics to make it exist.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. And like you said, maybe you don't have that much time. So to be in a place and to kind of be handhold where everything is well timed is also crucial if you're not staying there for months and months and months.
Hmm. Any other tips for me for starting my tour business?
I cannot share my secrets. No, I think finding the right people and that shares the passion, that are great storytellers, that are creative. Those are the most important things.
What if a
It's
tour
a
is
lot of
like
fun. You
under
should do it.
What if a tour is like underperforming and you haven't had a booking on a
Mm.
particular tour for like a week or
Mm.
two? Do you cut the tour or do you try to drive more traffic to the tour?
Well, first of all, we kind of look at it, kind of put it in a hospital to see, what is it about this tour that doesn't sell anymore. Sometimes there's even a technical glitch or something like that that
Mm,
that you haven't noticed. You have to look at competitors. Maybe there's something that happened that they offered something different that you didn't realize that your tour was missing. So you have to do a really 360-degree view to see what is up with this tour. But then if you realize that, no, this is just out of style, people don't want this anymore, then yes, sometimes we have to put a tour to the grave, dramatically speaking.
right.
We
I
do a
guess
lot of
competitors is a big
customized
thing.
tours as well, like bespoke tours. So,
Uh-huh.
maybe we don't have it on the website anymore, but the customer service team knows that it exists. So when someone asks for something similar, then you kind of relive the tour again and
Right.
revive it.
Right. So just assess where things are at. Maybe there's a
Hmm.
new competitor, something like that.
Sometimes, yeah.
Okay, cool. So we'll kind of get to wrapping up in a minute, but I was just super curious at the end here. So you're Swedish, your husband is Italian. I saw the photo of the kids. They got the bright blonde hair in Italy. They must so they speak Swedish and Italian and English.
Yes, they do. Sorry, do you hear my dog?
Yeah, no problem, not a problem.
She's uh, she's very excited to be in the office when someone rings the door.
And you got the
Uh,
dog.
yes, her name is Doris. Sorry, could you repeat the question? Because I was.
Oh, well, just you got the. I was just curious about the Swedish Italian family based
Yeah,
up in Italy. Do the kids are they impressed when these Swedish looking kids speak perfect Italian?
yeah, yeah. They get kind of shocked. My husband is actually Italian American,
Hmm.
so our kids have three passports. They're so lucky. Uh, and yeah, it's funny. Like in the summer when we went to Stockholm this summer, and there was an Italian family there, and my kids were there playing, speaking Swedish to each other, and then they realized that those two kids are Italian. So they, walk up and they're like, "Ciao, come stai? Mi chiamo Nicolas," and they're like, "What? Can you speak Italian?" But they're very fortunate to have this very international background.
That's it, guys. Go get your multiple passports. That's what we preach over here in My Latin Life. Well, Kristin, thank you so much for doing this. I know you have a big team, you have a big business, so thank you for making the time for the podcast here.
Thank you. It was very nice speaking to you.
Well, take this time and let people know where they can find you, where they can book a tour. I think I'll probably have an affiliate code or at least the website in the description to the episode, so people can find the link there. But just tell them, where they can find you, and any final message that you'd like to share with the audience.
Yeah, we would love to share our passion with all of you. So you can book a tour on LivTours.com. So that's LivTours.com. And it's all over Europe. So wherever you go, almost, not Lisbon yet, but we'll be there. You can book a tour with us.
Cool. Well, thanks again for doing this. This has been another episode of the My Latin Life podcast. Again, our guest today, Kristin from LivTours. Link in the description to book a tour anytime you're in Europe, guys. And also for the audience, remember to subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, wherever you're at. We put out 2 episodes a week with amazing guests like Kristin, and you won't want to miss an episode. Ciao for now.
Ciao.